Everybody, welcome to Stats and Cohn here on the Gold Standard Podcast Network and the Grant Cohn YouTube channel. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. He is Grant Cohn. Grant, the bye week is finally over, and we're now in a 9-game sprint to the finish.
Yeah, the bye week was kind of strange. It was like the 49ers' house is on fire, but they got Chase Young to put out the flames, and it was a very strange time. I feel like the Chase Young story is over, and we're back to things that matter, like the coach and the quarterback. And I feel like this is the most important, interesting mid-November regular season game I can remember, because if they win it, all of a sudden they're 6-3. They beat a playoff team on the road. You're thinking the Niners are back, baby. If they lose, they're in complete free fall mode. And it's hard to find excuses for Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy if they lose this upcoming game, because Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams are coming back. You got your team. Go beat Jacksonville. It's not a bad team. It's not a great team. But I feel like this is a defining week for the 49ers, and I'm not that confident that they're going to pass this test.
It is going to be a huge game because you mentioned it. The split there, the difference between 6-3 and 5-4 is unbelievable. It's massive. It completely changes the entire feel of their season based on just that one game. We're going to get into the Jacksonville game and break all that down, and because I've got multiple questions about what's going to happen. But before we get into that, Grant, you are one of the only people I can talk to about this. So I need to pick your mind about it. And it's about the John Lynch, quote unquote, promotion that he got. If you remember, 49ers, back when life was good with the 49ers, they beat the Giants on Thursday Night Football. All is well. The next day, when everyone's giving the Niners all their love, we come to find out, hey, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch got contract extensions. Yay, good, great, grand, wonderful. But now, Grant, over the bye week, when no one's really paying attention to the Niners, we find out, oh, by the way, in addition to the extension that John Lynch got, he also got a promotion to president of football operations. They're calling it a promotion. They're adding this title to him. And I just feel like something fishy is going on here. I feel like there is more to this story. Like, this is the first step in a multi-step move for this organization. Because to me, it feels like they want a new general manager, but they know they can't really fire John Lynch. So they're going to make it look like we promoted John Lynch, but someone else is going to be the new general manager next year.
That's possible. Maybe that suits John Lynch. Maybe they gave him, it is a promotion. And I'm guessing he got a raise. And it's always nice to get a raise. So if they said, look, we'll make you the president of football ops, you won't have as much say over the draft, but you'll get more money and you'll be his boss, and you can overrule Adam Peters whenever you want, but he'll do the legwork. I mean, that's probably what it's been like in the past anyway, right? I would imagine. It's just more official now. The way I look at it actually is not what this means for Adam Peters. This is a nice promotion for him. He gets a raise and he gets some recognition. I'm sure the work distribution is about the same, but what about Parag? That's what I'm thinking. What about Parag? Parag used to be very important in this organization. He wasn't the general manager, but he sort of like tied the general manager's hands together and told him what he could and couldn't spend, and what players were worth and what they're not worth. Then all of a sudden, this is the guy that pushed DeForest Buckner out. Now all of a sudden they spent the same amount of money on Javon Hargrave. It feels like something switched, like that maybe he's not necessarily setting the agenda anymore. And they gave him all that responsibility with Leeds United, the soccer team. So maybe this is the Niners finally, after like 20 something years, pushing Parag Marathe out of the football room, saying, here, focus on soccer. And this is now officially a John Lynch, Adam Peters production, in which case I like that, because I feel like Parag Marathe's usefulness has
run its course
like a long time ago. Thank you.
I don't know. There's something more to they don't just add titles to people for no reason whatsoever. Like, a promotion is you get more money, but you have more responsibility. That's what a promotion is, right? You're getting more money because you now have to do more. This just seems like, oh, we're giving John Lynch a raise and a new title for no reason. Like, I don't think that's the case. Something I think is shifting within the 49ers organization. That's just my thought on it. It was rattling around in my skull, and I wanted to ask you.
Well, look at Parag Marathe. I'm looking at his official profile biography on Niners.com, and it says that he is the president of 49ers Enterprises and the executive vice president of football operations. So think about what they just gave John Lynch. He is the president of football operations. So that officially means that John Lynch is above Parag Marathe. That where this used to be a general manager, Trent Baalke, who would pick players, but had really no sense of the finances and the salary cap. That's where Parag comes in. That's over with. The Niners are fully bought in to John Lynch and Adam Peters and Kyle Shanahan. They don't need that holdover from 2002, 2001, acting like he's the only person who understands the salary cap in 2023. Like, that's, to me, they officially made Parag Marathe useless, redundant. It's about time. It's about time.
I'd be down for that. Not going to lie. I could definitely sign for that. Okay. I hadn't thought of that. See, this is why I need to pick your brain about these things, because you're there every day. Obviously, you have different perspective than me. So real quick though, the Parag Marathe factor was having a lot of not overpaying for players and really like having a middle class on your team. The Niners don't have that anymore. They have paid all their guys. They paid Bosa, Hargrave, Kinlaw, Greenlaw, Warner, Travarius Ward, and that's just on defense. And you're seeing a team that's very top heavy, very rich. It's like, oh, they can't stop the run. Yeah, man, I'm not stopping the run if you're paying me $20 million a year. Like, that's hard. I don't want to do that. I would do that to get my contract, not after I get the contract. So I wonder if they figured that out, and if Parag Marathe will have the last laugh. Because real quick, they ran Trent Baalke out of town. He's got a good team right now in Jacksonville, and they're in position to sort of put the nail in the coffin of the Niners season. So, I mean, it's a little early to say that, but I'm just saying, Baalke's coming to town. Well, they're going to Baalke's town. Trent Baalke revenge game. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He wants to win. I'm sure he's still salty about everything with the 49ers organization and the Jim Harbaugh era and the post Jim Harbaugh era, and Jed York apologizing for losses on Twitter. Yes, I'm sure he wants to win. Before we get to that Jags game, I'm going to give a shout out to Nick, YouTube channel member. Nick says, I took a break from a legal conference in Chicago. I never get to see my favorite pair host live. What up, dogs? Appreciate you, Nick. By the way, if you want to become a YouTube channel member, please sign up. It's less than $3 a month. You get custom emojis, you get membership badges, you get priority comment response. It's a great way to support like the channel. There's
a lot of people that watch my channel who feel like this is their favorite show. I feel like there's something different about this show than the other ones I do. All my shows are unique and different, but you're the driver on this show. I'm the guest. We don't always agree. We often disagree, and we get a kick out of disagreeing with each other. We've been disagreeing with each other for like 10 years. So it's a fun show.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And that's all right. Like, we can disagree. It's fine. There's nothing that you're going to say on this show that's going to make me mad at you when we go off the air.
That's true. That is true. In fact, we can actually push that line pretty far. You could say things like, that was insane. I'll be like, all right, it's fine. Love you. I still love you, Rob.
I do that.
You do that.
Great one 765 says this game might be the Baalke Super Bowl for the season. Look, the Jags are in a good place right now. We can pivot a little bit and get to this game. Life is good if you're a Jags fan. You've got your Super Bowl winning coach. You've got Trevor Lawrence in there, your first overall pick at quarterback. You're 6-2 right now. Life is good if you're a Jags fan. That's why we can look at it, Grant. I don't know why the 49ers are favored in this game. I don't understand it.
Can we do the Bet US thing now then? Let's look at it. Okay. Let's check it out. It's okay. The sponsor on my channel is Bet US. If you want to bet on this game, I would highly recommend going to them, because if you use the link in my description, you get 125% sign up bonus on your first deposit. And there's a very interesting line that you might want to look at right now, this Niners Jacksonville line. Rob, take it away.
I don't understand how the 49ers are favored in this game. The Jags have won 5 in a row. The Jags are at home, and they have a better.
Can you share the screen real quick just so people can see this?
Sure.
Because, I mean, they got to see this for themselves. It actually exists. The Niners are 3.5 favorites on the road against Jacksonville, who've won 5 in a row.
I got to bring up the actual line. I apologize. I didn't have it up.
It's okay. That's all right.
That's a bad job by me.
That's okay. I just think it's interesting because these lines don't necessarily reflect who the odds makers think is going to win. They're just trying to reflect who the betting public thinks is going to win. And the Niners have a lot of people betting on them. Did you lose it?
I don't have it. I'm sorry. I did not execute this properly.
It's in the private chat.
Sorry about this.
That's all right.
But that just brings me to the front page. You sent me a bum link.
Oh, sorry. Well, just click on the sports book and then click on football and then click on week 10. That's how you work. That's how you do it. Bet US.
There we go. Hold on. Let's see if this is the actual right thing now. No, this is the props for the game. All right. Take my word for it. All right. The 49ers are the favorite in the game. I don't know why I can't get it up, but it's not working right now. I don't think that they should be. Everything about this game to me says if I'm putting my money on this, I'm taking the Jags. They're at home. They've got the better quarterback. You could argue they've got the better head coach. They've won 5 in a row. They're hot. They're also coming off a bye. I'm taking the points.
Yeah, this to me is one of those lines where it's like, there aren't that many Jaguars fans. They haven't been good that long. There's a lot of Niner fans. They've been good for 4 years. And the odds makers are sort of banking on people looking at the long view. Like the Niners, they're going to snap out of this, and the Jaguars aren't going to keep this going. But if you took the names off the jerseys and you just looked at one team 5 in a row, one team 3 straight losses, I don't know. I wouldn't feel comfortable picking the team on a 3-game losing streak to go across the country and win a 10 a.m. game. Like this feels like you get a team on a 5-game winning streak at home and you get 3 points. Like I would have to take that.
Even the
Jacksonville +3. I think they're going to win by 4. So I would have to take that. I think that's pretty good.
I think the game is going to be close. So in those games, I always like the team that's getting points. And I did a very dangerous thing, Grant. I went down a YouTube rabbit hole today. And I was going through, and I just ended up going through a bunch of 49ers stuff. I know. Terrible job I made. Mistake. And I came across the old Mike Singletary rant. Do you remember that? Where he just went nuts after the game. And he lists like the 3 things we have to do to get back on track. And I heard him and I was like, oh my God, copy, paste to the 2023 49ers. Remember? Here's the first thing he said.
We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
They haven't been doing that. They've been getting hit in the mouth, right? They can't stop the run. They can't run the ball. They have not been hitting people in the mouth. Okay.
People forget how inspirational Mike Singletary was at first. That guy won some games. People were like, wait a second. Like the response that Deion Sanders is getting at Colorado this year is kind of what people thought of Mike Singletary initially with the Niners. Like, this just might work. Wow. Keep going.
Number 2 for Mike Singletary.
We are not a charity. We cannot give them the game.
Love it.
What have the Niners been doing? The last 3 weeks, 7 turnovers in the last 3 games. During the 5-game winning streak to start the year, 2 turnovers. We are not a charity, man.
Nope. Can't do it.
And number 3 from Singletary.
We execute from the very start of the game to the very end of the game.
They haven't been doing that. Brock Purdy had a perfect opportunity last week to get back in that game. He threw interceptions on back-to-back possessions, on back-to-back passes. I swear to God, it's like Mike Singletary copy-paste.
Yeah, and it's like Kyle Shanahan looks down his nose at all that stuff, right? Like, oh, all that rah-rah, I was a player, passion, energy, doesn't matter. All that matters is the play calling and the play design and the sequencing and my scheme and all that stuff. And maybe that's the case on offense. But on defense, that stuff matters. And I think Kyle Shanahan's learning the hard way this year that what he needs as a counterpart, as a defensive coordinator, is not necessarily someone with some schematic advantage, but someone like that, someone like Mike Singletary, who can like infuse all of that passion into the team that Kyle can't. Because Kyle can do a lot for a team, but he can't do that. And I do think football, I didn't play the sport. I'll be the first to say it. I played baseball, which is not an emotional sport. Football is a very emotional sport. And Kyle provides none of that. And the team seems flat in a way that they hadn't for years. I mean, D'Amico's team isn't flat like that. Solid, well, I don't know about solids right now, but D'Amico's isn't. So yeah, I feel like it's funny you bring up Mike Singletary because our memory of him, his era here is like, man, he shouldn't have had that job and he wasn't a real coach, but man, there were certain things that he was quite authentic and good at.
Oh, yeah, you can say what you want about Singletary, but
we go out, we hit people in the mouth.
That's authentic. Like, you can't argue it's not. That is who Mike Singletary. I mean, the man pulled his pants down at halftime of his first game.
And also, it's like he said this in 2008 or 7 or whatever. Like, at that point, everyone that was remembered him as a player. That's like Ray Lewis being a head coach right now and saying stuff like that. I mean, Mike Singletary was a huge freaking deal. That's how he became a head coach so quickly. It's like, well, it's the greatest linebacker ever. And it seems like he's getting results. So let's go with this.
I just thought it was weird how it almost directly applies to everything that's happening with the 49ers now. And God, I hope even if they just stop the turnovers, man, if they stop the turnovers and actually tackle on defense, the team is going to look so much better than they have in the last 3 weeks. They've missed like 32 tackles in the last 3 weeks. It's insane.
Yeah. And it's like, again, if Mike Singletary is telling you guys, like, we need to go back to basics. We need to ground ourselves. Who do we think we are? Man, that's a Hall of Famer saying stuff like that. When Kyle, he's more the other way. Like, I don't really care what the record says or what we've done recently. I know that on any given week, we're the best team and we can beat this team. And we've done this. It's like, it's a little too much patting themselves on the back in Kyle's culture. I liked Singletary's culture. The problem was his offensive coordinator, his scheme. I mean, he wasn't essentially ready to be a head coach, but in terms of that stuff, no one better. No one better. And, he was a more successful coach than Chip Kelly or Jim Tomsula.
Yeah, they weren't horrible under Singletary. They weren't
They were like disappointing and they were like 500, but they won games. Yeah.
Let's get to some super chats. Official BNA Music says, I know Parag has been Mr. Krabs for Halloween before. Parag is like, when things were going well, I feel like people loved Parag. And then when things were bad, he got all the blame too.
Yeah. Well, he's just not a football person. And he's so important in the football decision-making process. Anytime he decides someone wasn't worth it or someone was worth it, you'd like, why? How did you get to make that decision? And, so I think that's a good thing that he's gone.
Why do you have so much power? Nick R, YouTube channel member for 5 months, says this Lynch thing could all be tax loophole type antics. I have no idea how the taxes work for that, so I'm not going to speculate on that. City Burt says, is this team any different with D'Amico or Saleh? Yeah, I think they would. I think the defense would be more consistent if they had one of those guys. I do, because they wouldn't have a defensive coordinator who's learning the scheme as we go along. And you've heard a lot of people say that the 49ers defensive players have not been put in good positions to win. What that means is the scheme is not good for them right now.
Also, I feel like the culture of the team was set by Saleh and D'Amico, that overachieving, passionate, energetic, all that stuff. It didn't come from the offense. The offense is kind of the group that pats itself on the back. George Kittle, Kyle Shanahan, Kyle Juszczyk. We're so great. The defense is the side that led the team for years, that had a very specific, all gas, no brakes culture. I know culture seems like kind of a ambiguous term, but it is a real thing in football. And I feel like it was always the defense on this team that was setting it. And now I feel like that's all gone. D'Amico carried it over, maybe added to it from what Saleh. I mean, D'Amico and Saleh built it together.
Yeah, they did.
They built it together. And then Saleh left and D'Amico carried it on. And now D'Amico's gone and you brought in an outsider to sort of like figure it out. It's like, that's not really what he does. And you're looking, okay, what about the head coach? I'm looking at Kyle like I look at Sean McVay right now. Guys who put together great coaching staffs, but are kind of on their own right now and not necessarily looking as forward thinking and cutting edge as they did a few years ago.
Yeah, I think the Rams, to me, the Rams are paying the piper. They're paying the credit card bills now that they racked up to get their Super Bowl. It's funny you mentioned that about the defense setting the tone. The offense beats you by confusing you. And I know that they had, Debo and Kittle, and they can be physical, but they got open because of the confusion that Kyle Shanahan caused on that side of the ball. That's how he schemed you open. On defense, they beat you by just physically beating you up.
And that's the culture of the team, right? We're the bullies. We're the physical guys. Well, on offense, sometimes when Debo's breaking tackles, but what Kyle wants to do is outsmart you on offense. That is not what the Niners do on defense. They're like, we're just going to beat you up. We can be simple. We can be we're just better than you. And they haven't had that attitude really this year.
I agree. And Debo can only run over people if Kyle schemes him open, because he doesn't really get open on his own.
And frankly, Mike McDaniel was better at that than Kyle. Like, if that offense in 2021 was quite creative, putting Deebo Samuel at running back. Then McDaniel leaves. The offense craters. They're scoring 19 points a game. They trade for Christian McCaffrey. They get another all-pro on the team, and all of a sudden they get defenses on their heels again. They're rolling. But you do that, and it's like if we give the ball to McCaffrey 20 times, we'll win. And that worked for like 10, 15 games in a row. Finally, it's not working anymore.
Don't just gloss over that, though. It was 16 games in a row that they won. That's insane.
It worked. It's like, okay, man, we got a whole new element here. We have all this all-pro talent. If we give the ball to McCaffrey 20 times a game, we're going to win. But like you put all that on tape. There's only so much you can do with them. You've shown it all. And it seems like in the last month, teams have kind of figured out a way to stop at least him. And now it's like, all right, Kyle, like that cheat code may have run its course. What is the next idea? What's going to carry you through the rest of the season? Because last year was McCaffrey. The year before that, it was Deebo running back. What's it going to be this year? And we'll find out this week. I would think it's the backup running back averaging 5.6 yards per carry. Like maybe find like a between the tackles run game that fits Jordan Mason because he's kind of unstoppable right now. But I don't know that Kyle's going to do that.
Well, that brings me to this question from Citybird, who says, what's the Monday morning headline for Jags 49ers? To me, it's Brock Purdy leads 49ers to victory over the Jags because the Jags stopped the run. They've been able to stop the run all year. They've only allowed 2 all-purpose touchdowns to running backs all season long. And you have to, if you're Kyle Shanahan, have a backup plan for what if we can't run the ball. If you can run the ball, the Niners will be just fine because their whole offense is built around that. If you can't run the ball, which Jacksonville has been good at stopping, again, what do you do? And to me, it's got to be Brock, either using his legs or just pushing the ball down the field. And I think that's the backup plan for Shanahan. And I think Purdy's going to do it this week. I really do.
Okay. At the same time, they got Trevor Lawrence, and he's just as good or better against zone coverage. I think the headline's going to be Niners lose their 4th straight and have serious questions to answer about it's a long headline. Niners lose 4 straight.
Niners lose
4th in a row.
Serious questions about
the answer about Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, Steve Wilkes. That's not a headline.
What are you using on this headline, Grant?
Yeah, it's a good point. You want to keep that to like 70 characters or less.
Yeah.
Maybe 7 words.
Chance 099 says Kyle redshirts rookies because the playbook, but not a coach. I don't quite understand what you mean.
I really feel like the reason he's not playing Jordan Mason is because he may not, have the greatest recall when it comes to the plays. I think that's a big thing. It's a really dense playbook with long plays, and maybe some players aren't as good at hearing 2 paragraphs really quick in the huddle and being like, "Oh yeah, for sure, I got that." Like maybe some players just need it to be a little bit simpler, and like if you can do that, you can unlock some serious talent on your team. Kyle seems unwilling to do that sometimes.
Just share the load, man. It's fine. No matter who the backup is, like just don't put it all on McCaffrey. I hope.
Remember 2019? It was all about Tevin Coleman. And all of a sudden, I don't know who figured it out. Was it Mike McDaniel or Kyle? They were like, you know what? This Raheem Mostert guy,
he's pretty fast.
You don't need to necessarily start him. But if we give him like 10 carries a game, we're going to be tough to beat. And they rode that all the way until the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl where they decided they didn't like him anymore. Could Jordan Mason not be that kind of a guy that have that kind of an impact? Just give him 10 carries. 10.
Right. That's the thing.
We're not 60 yards.
20 carries a game. Just give him 10 carries.
10.
I don't know. We'll see if they actually do it. But I think that Brock's going to get back on track. It's all been about the turnovers with him. They've been moving the ball up and down the field. They've just been giving the damn football away. To me, it's much more important that Brock has a 0 in the interception column than a high number in the touchdown column. I really think that.
And it's not just that he's giving it away. It's that he's giving it away in the 4th quarter. It's just even worse because people like his defenders will say, well, he was great in quarters 1 through 3. He played some of his best football in the first 3 quarters. It's just the last quarter. And it's really unfair to just judge him on the last quarter when the other 3 quarters were good. It's like, man, I'll definitely take a quarterback who can be bad for 3 quarters and pull out the win in the 4th quarter than a guy who could be good for 3 quarters and find a way to lose.
Yeah, you can't just ignore the bad plays when the bad plays were so bad. Like that interception in the red zone at the end of the 3rd quarter on that busted shovel pass. Like It never should have happened. He's got to know that I can't throw the ball here because it's literally against the rules. Like, that's bad. And it was first down again. A lot of his turnovers seem to come on early in the possession too, like early in the downs. Don't force that, Brock. Just fall down. Just fall down, take the sack, live to play another day.
And if you ask, like, what does choking look like at the quarterback position? A pick like that in the fourth quarter of a close game, like, man, you got to know you can't throw a pass there. Even if you do throw a pass, it's not intercepted, it's a penalty. Like, you need to go down. But instead of doing that, you got intercepted by a linebacker standing a foot in front of you. That's choking. And then you turn the ball over again. It's like,
on the next pass.
So, look, I'm not saying he's a choker, but I'm not saying he's not. And he's showing choking tendencies. And he's been in these like games where the Niners can put teams away. They get a lead early and they cruise. But they haven't been in those games recently. You have to be able to win in all kind of games. And really the mark of a quarterback who's the real deal is a guy who can bring you back from behind. And not only can he not do that right now, but like he'll make it worse trying. He's the kind of guy I don't even know if I'd really trust with a deficit. With a lead, yeah, man, he's great. He's confident. He knows what to do. He can use play action. He can scramble around. He can hand off. With a deficit, man, he can make things worse.
And that's part of what we got to find out about him, because he's still young, 23 years old, still hasn't started a year's worth of games yet. So I'm willing to give him some.
He'll be 24 in a month.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty old.
That changes everything. I'm willing to give him some patience, but I'm also willing to say, hey, this is an unacceptable play. This was a bad play. Yes, are you a young player? All that stuff, but we can also call it like we see it. Like, you're killing me.
And let's be fair here. Trey Lance got ran out of town after 4 starts because the team is in win now mode and they don't have time to go through growing pains. Fine. Well, these are growing pains. And if Brock Purdy is going to be the guy who is going to spit the bit and turn the ball over multiple times in the fourth quarter, if the game is close, but one day maybe he won't do that anymore if he gets enough experience. Well, the Niners have already said they're not that kind of team that can wait around and be patient for that to happen. So that's what I'm saying, man. If you do this again this week and it's a 4-game losing streak and you're becoming a turnover machine, like the Niners have already shown that they have the precedent of pulling the plug on a young quarterback way too soon. So why should that not change now? Because the dude won 10 games? That doesn't prove anything. If this is who he is now, then they got to go to Sam Darnold. I'm not saying this is who he is now, but I feel like this is a big week for Brock Purdy, man. You need to stop. You need to stop turning the ball over a lot of times in the fourth quarter. Is that so much to ask? Is that too much to ask?
No, it's not too much to ask, although I would never go to Sam Darnold for any reason, shape, form. You can't say. You can't.
Fair. I didn't vouch for Sam. I didn't say bring Sam to the team. Fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you're turning the ball over too much. So let's go to the guy with 90 combined interceptions and fumbles in his 55. No, that doesn't work. Keith Murphy, the unbeaten, says get straight A's all year, then F's in the last quarter. I do think we should say too, Brock did lead the team down the field after playing kind of bad against Cleveland and had them set up for the game-winning field goal. I know they missed it. I know it, but he didn't choke that day. He did come through that day, and we would probably be feeling a lot better about him if Jake Moody had made the damn kick.
True, but the first throw on that drive was a drop pick.
Yep.
Sorry.
It was.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he has moments like that a lot. So if that had just been caught, then you'd be looking at him like, yeah, he did it 3 games in a row.
Right.
But again, I got a question about Darnold. Is Darnold the backup quarterback on this team specifically so that no one will ever ask the Niners to bench their quarterback? Like, is it that?
A lot of teams kind of have that philosophy where they don't want any sort of challenge. I'd be fine with that, by the way, because I'm on record as saying, I don't care if Brock throws 100 picks the rest of the way. He's got to start the whole way because you've got to figure out if this kid can play or not. You have to.
They should have kept Trey Lance, though. Like,
I agree.
They told themselves, okay, we saw eight games of Brock Purdy. He's the real deal. Instead of hedging our bets and having 2 young quarterbacks who, have talent that we could work with, let's get rid of one, sign Sam Darnold, who's so bad, literally no one will ask us to ever bench our young quarterback, and that'll be the best because we want to support him. Yeah, you want to support your young quarterback, but you don't know how good he is. And there's a possibility. What did Kyle say that, like, he's going to be the quarterback unless he has a complete meltdown? Well, if he loses this game and throws 2 more picks in the fourth quarter, that's qualifies. So I mean, you didn't know. You didn't know.
You could definitely qualify that as a meltdown. I agree. Let's see. Matthew Sanders says, run the ball, stop the run, protect the ball, get to the quarterback, and make all field goals within 45 yards. Looking for them to check all those boxes. It's on the coaches. That's the thing is we're going to be.
Punch him in the mouth.
We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
We're going to be hyper judgmental, right? Especially like first drive. Let's say they go 3 and out. And what are we all going to be saying? They had the whole bye week and this is what they came out with. We are going to be like peak ready to pounce on Sunday.
Can I just say something real quick too? As a Jewish man, there's not a lot of Jews in football. Jews like talking about sports, but we don't necessarily dip our toes in that much. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta love Christians. I'm not trying to get too religious here, but like Mike Singletary is such a Christian. Like it's very devout and wears a big cross. And the first thing he talks about is hitting people in the mouth. And there's nothing inconsistent about that. I really respect that about tough Christians. I just want to say that. Like, you wouldn't think it's very much turn the other cheek culture, but it's like, I'm going to hit you in the mouth when we're playing football.
Right.
And it's okay. I love that.
Well, that's the whole paradox with football, right? It's like, you don't need to fight in football because every play is so violent. You could just go out and smash the guy in the face and not get a penalty at all. You get praised for it.
Right. Don't punch the guy in the face mask after the play. Just literally wait 30 seconds for the next snap, and you can hit him legally.
As hard as you want.
You got to respect that. Gotta respect that.
City Bert again checks in. Handicap the 2 Niners-Hawks games coming up. I don't even want to jump ahead. I can't even.
Let's go one at a time, man. You see what happened? They lose Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel. Everything changes, man. Let's go one at a time. Right now, the way I look at it is they're going to Jacksonville, and they got no excuses. They're coming off a bye. They're fresh. They're healthy. Who's not going to play in this game?
Aaron Banks? Probably.
Aaron Banks. Fair enough. Aaron Banks. But you got everyone else. You got Trent. You got Deebo. You got everyone on defense. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but I don't. And if they lose, you really got to look real hard at Brock and Kyle, that combo. So we'll see.
Did you catch any of Dre Greenlaw on Fred Warner's podcast?
No, I did not.
Let's just say, and if you missed any of it, I got some clips of it in today's 49ers in 5. You can go check that out on the YouTube channel. They're very confident that they are going to get back on track. They're very confident that they know exactly what they have to do.
You're telling me the 49ers are a confident bunch no matter what? I'm so surprised. That is so not like them. They believe in themselves. Nice.
I don't like the continued line that they keep going back to, which is, we've done it before. We know what we're doing. We're good. Like, they need to think that the house is on fire. That's when this team is at their best. All those comebacks that they've made the last 2 years that they like referencing, they did that because they had to, because the season was circling the drain and they had that urgency. And I don't think they feel that urgency right now.
I agree. I mean, I don't think you need all the leaders, all the players on the team saying, we'll be fine. Don't worry. We'll be fine.
Anybody concerned?
I don't think that helps. I mean, it's good not to be, again, bringing it back to being a Jew. Jews worry maybe too much. And maybe it's not good to have a bunch of people channeling their inner Jew in the locker room being like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We've lost 3 in a row. Not that that's how Jews talk. I'm just saying, you don't necessarily want to go down that path, but you would like one dude on the team to be mad, to not take it in stride and say, it's all right, we'll be fine. We've done this before. Like, nah, like, be pissed. Richard Sherman would be. Jason Verrett would be. They'd be seething mad. Frank Gore would be seething mad. Who is that guy on this? Jimmy Ward would be seething mad. Who is that guy on this team that just is, apoplectic that this team is in a 3-game losing streak? There should be one person. I don't know who it is.
And
that's Williams.
That's where exactly how I feel about it. There is a huge gulf between, hey, everything's good, we've done it before, and oh my God, everything's terrible, the sky is falling. Who's the guy in that locker room saying, hey, this isn't good enough. This isn't the standard. We need to get this back on track. It doesn't feel like anybody is there saying it. And Kyle should be the one saying it. And Deebo should be the one saying it. And Warner should be the one saying it. But it doesn't seem like they are right now, at least publicly.
And Bosa should be saying it. But Bosa's the guy with 2.5 sacks and everyone's like, don't worry about it. It's fine. He's got a good PFF grade. He's getting pressure. Like, all right, he should be the one saying, I'm not playing well enough. It starts with me. I lead this team. I'm the best player on this team, and I should be getting a sack a game, and I need to do more. He could say that. I mean, Fred Warner should say stuff like that, but all we hear from is, no, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. All right, man, we'll go beat Jacksonville. Prove it.
12 play says, "Are you sure Sam Darnold will still be a turnover machine with Kyle?" Yes, I'm 1,000% sure.
What quarterback isn't?
Well, that's a good point. Also, really, what quarterback hasn't been? Absolutely. Nicholas Parra says some of this is on the coaching, though. Shanahan put him in that spot. Brock is only part of the 0-37 when trailing in the fourth. Shanahan is 100% of that metric.
I would agree, and it seems like if you're the kind of coach who doesn't really even practice being down the fourth quarter. Kurt Bankert said it. This team doesn't practice 2-minute drill. They practice 4-minute drill. That's having a lead and running out the clock in the fourth quarter because they do that a lot. They don't practice 2-minute drill because there's not enough time during the week and they don't do it often enough. All right, man. Well, you're always going to be in a position at some point in the season where you have to come from behind. And it is hard to blame your players for not executing when you don't practice that. If you want to be good at something, you practice it. So, Kyle, you might want to think about that.
That's interesting because I have noticed multiple times this year in a 2-minute situation, there has been a player or two looking at Brock with the hands out like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on? Like, I noticed it specifically with George Kittle a couple of times. And look, maybe that's on George. I'm not saying it's on Brock, but like clearly there was a little confusion there. And so if they're not practicing it, that's bad.
Well, think about it. It's not what the Niners offense wants to do. Like the whole thing with the Niners offense, it starts with a paragraph play call. It takes time for Kyle to say it. It takes time for the quarterback to say it. You got to say it twice. And a lot of times there's 2 plays. So that's long. Then you go to the line of scrimmage and there's a shift and a motion, maybe more than one. That takes time. So the whole process of calling the play, getting lined up, and getting the snap takes a long time. It's much more suited for 4-minute offense. Like, take as much time as you freaking want when you're trying to run out the clock. Yes. But a 2-minute drill, like Kyle, it would behoove Kyle to have a way that he could actually call plays shorthand. Is there a way that you could call that in 3 words and then get everyone to the line of scrimmage and then don't shift in motion? Like, you got to speed up, man. You're down. What if you're down 14 with 8 minutes left? What are you going to do? We've seen the Niners offense doesn't really change. That's the problem.
It's not a problem as much when you can score and then your defense can get a 3 and out and then you get the ball back. But the problem is even if the Niners score that first time, their offense or their defense doesn't necessarily get the other team off the field right away. So the other team is chewing up clock and time and field position. So, yeah.
And I just don't like the thought that we win one way. We get a lead. Right. We're winning. Let's practice 4-minute drill and be done with it. Like, nah, man, championship teams can win and do win multiple ways. They can win getting a lead. They can win coming from behind. And the fact that you don't even practice that type of winning, that situational football, I think says a lot about. And again, coming back to the original question, is it Brock or is it Kyle? Hard to blame Brock when his coach doesn't even let him practice this stuff.
I mean, when you say they don't practice it, I'm sure they practice
it. That's what Kurt Bankert said. Let's ask Kurt. Let's ask Kyle. He said they literally don't spend time on 2-minute drills in the Niners because they don't have enough time during the week and they feel they don't do it enough during the season. It's not worth their time. That's what Kurt Bankert said.
I would.
Kurt, where are you?
Or Kurt, yeah. Maybe I can
where you at, buddy?
Reach out to him. I'm sorry. I'm really having a hard time with this name. Mad Gamer 4127. Patrick Mahomes had 10 drop picks last year. Can we stop with the drop pick narrative? So this is how I look at drop picks, Grant. Yes, they do. Like, you do have to mention them. Like, yeah, he threw a bad play right into the linebacker. Linebacker dropped it. But I also look at the pick was dropped. So what do you do after that? Do you take advantage after that, or do you do nothing after it? Like, yeah, it should have been picked, but it wasn't. And football is full of plays like that. A lot of plays, not just from the quarterback. So
yeah, but the issue with Purdy too is that he's throwing these interceptions and he doesn't pass very much. Like, the Niners are 27th in pass attempts. Mm-hmm. They're trying to work around their quarterback. They're trying to win with their running game, and this guy's still committing turnovers. Like Patrick Mahomes, the whole offense is him throwing the ball. They're frequently in the top 3 in pass attempts per season, and he's throwing. Last year he threw for 5,200 yards and 41 touchdowns. So yeah, I'll take some turnovers with that kind of production when it's not about the run game. It's all about him and his arm. Like, he's more like, if you put the scales of his good plays and bad plays, you got good plays, bad plays. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll take Patrick Mahomes. With Purdy, it's a little murkier right now because he doesn't throw that much. And when he does, recently, there's been a high frequency of turnovers. So just saying.
And to be clear, like, he has made some really good throws lately. He had 2 or 3 throws to Kittle against Cincinnati over the middle that were awesome. Deep throws down the middle. small window that were put in a perfect spot. And those are great plays. But the problem against Cincinnati was his bad plays were so much more impactful than the good plays because they were turnovers, because one of them was a turnover in the red zone on the 8-yard line, down 7. So yes, he's been doing some good things, and the Niners offense has been moving up and down the field. But when your bad plays are more impactful than your good plays, that's when you have a problem.
Yeah, it is. I don't know, man. I feel like Brock has a lot to answer for this week. He had excuses the last 3 weeks. Trent Williams went down. Deebo Samuel was gone. It wasn't the regular offense. He had to deal with a little bit of adversity, and it didn't go so well. But if he gets Trent and Deebo back this week and they put up 30, you could say, all right, well, that was a learning experience for Brock. You sort of tied one hand behind his back, and it didn't go so well, but he's still young. And look at him against Jacksonville, against a good team when he gets his players back. If not, if Trent and Deebo come back and the offense scores 20 points and they lose, and you're like, all right, man, you're sort of running out of excuses. I know you had a concussion a few weeks ago. I know you're coming off an elbow thing, but yeah, you lost 4 in a row now, and you have all your playmakers, and you still can't crack 21 points. Like, you might have gotten figured out. So one of those two things could happen this week. It's a very big week for Brock.
49ers under Kyle Shanahan are 36-16 after the bye, which is awesome.
Wait a second. That doesn't make any sense.
No, not the game after the bye. Like everything after the bye.
Oh, okay. I'm like, man, he hasn't been a coach for 50-something years.
Yeah, no, he'd be a hell of a lot older. This is just his complete record after the bye through all of his time in San Francisco.
Good call. And it's true, like a couple years ago in 2021, they lost 3 games in a row going into the bye week. They came out of the bye week, lost again. They were 2-4 and didn't necessarily run the table, but went on a run.
Yeah, like they keep reminding us, right? We've done it before, and they have. It doesn't happen automatically, though.
Steve Wilkes hasn't.
Right, that's true. Let me ask you this.
Hasn't.
If let's say the 49ers go out, get a lead early, go up by double digits early, hang on, win by multiple scores against Jacksonville, you'd be like, okay, good. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
How much better about the 49ers would you feel if they were down in the fourth quarter and Brock came back and won the game? Wouldn't you feel so much better about them?
I like that question a lot. In a sense, there's a scenario where a 1-point victory where you come from behind is more impressive and meaningful than a 14-point victory where you get an early lead, because maybe, Jacksonville turns the ball over and there's like a fluky play in the first quarter and the Niners are go on tilt and they just get the advantage, and that's that. And it's like, well, if they played 10 times, I'm not sure the Niners would win 10 times. Maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars would get a break. But if Jacksonville gets breaks and the Niners hang on and find a way to win that they don't normally do, now you're looking at them as like, okay, this is a team that might be able to win the Super Bowl. This is a team that might be able to find ways to beat really good quarterbacks who are having good games, all of that. Yeah, I think this is the biggest regular season game I can remember, man. It's so big. It's a legit challenge that the Niners, I guess, are expected to win. They're 3-point favorites. They're expected to win this game. They expect to win it because you know what? They've been here before.
It very much feels like a fork in the road on the season for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would, and to be fair, like I'm not going to complain about a win. Any win, that's great. I will be happy to have. But I'm just saying that 1 point come from behind win would, especially if Jake Moody hits the kick at the end too, just for, the cherry on top of the sundae, then you feel really, really good. But we'll see how
it could happen, right? Like this is the Niners Super Bowl a little bit right now. And Jacksonville, they've won 5 in a row. They're cruising. This game doesn't mean that much to them. If they beat the Niners, it's a great, they can say we're for real. If they lose to the Niners, they can say we're 6-3. They're an NFC team. It doesn't really freaking matter. Like this means so much more to the 49ers than it does to Jacksonville. Win the damn game.
Yeah, the Jags are 6-2 right now. The next closest team to them in the division is actually D'Amico Ryan's Texans, but they're 4-4.
They don't need this game. This is just seeding for them. This is just pride for them. It's great. But for the Niners, this is their season. Can't lose this game.
And you're trying to stay ahead of Seattle too, which you're going to play twice in 3 weeks coming up. All day, every day, Kim says people kill me with comparing Brock to Mahomes. I think you weren't comparing them as players. You were just mentioning the difference in pass attempts.
I like how she said Brock's ass, not just Brock.
Kim,
I haven't seen. It's a lot.
By the way, did you see, speaking of asses, did you see the clip with Kittle and Beathard? Apparently, Kittle and Beathard have matching ass tattoos.
No.
Yes. So they were in college and they got the address of like their party house. George wanted everybody to get tattoos of it. So they all got tattoos on their ass. And then when they're in the shower, the vets on the team are like, why do you guys have matching ass tattoos? And George had to explain this.
That is such a George Kittle thing to do. But hey, I think Kyle Shanahan and Chris Sims have matching ankle tattoos.
They do have matching tattoos. Yes. So, some people have a bond that deserves a
lot of people don't know that me and you have matching tattoos. People don't know that. People don't know that.
Keith Murthy, the unbeaten, says D'Amico got right in year 1 what Shanahan hasn't gotten right in year 7, the quarterback. It's ridiculous. CJ Stroud looks incredible right now. Bless you. Oh, boy.
I just think it's funny that Kyle Shanahan got the 6-year contract and his thing was like, you know what? I'm not going to get the quarterback right away. I'm going to get a defensive lineman. And Robert Saleh and D'Amico Ryans were on that team, and they're like, sure, Kyle, I think that's a good plan. And both of them went and became head coaches, and both of them took a quarterback with their first pick. Now, Saleh took the wrong one. D'Amico took the right one. But they did not agree with Kyle Shanahan's roster building philosophy. Maybe they agreed with it at the time, and they're like, good idea, Kyle. I would do the same thing. But they did not do the same thing. And really, it's not how you want to do it. Because Kyle's still paying for it. You put the team together and you try to insert the quarterback, he's going to get 3 games to prove himself. If he loses 2 of them, he's done. Sorry, team's too good.
It was a very weird team building process that we have not really seen anybody else try. And to this point, it hasn't resulted in a championship. And that's what you're looking at.
A lot of people copy Kyle Shanahan's stuff. That's not one thing they copy. He's on his own there.
Chris Maldonado, YouTube channel member for 6 months, says we need a win. We really do. That's 100% big facts. It's flat out.
1-point win would be huge for the 49ers. They got to find a way to not beat themselves in this game.
And you know what I think we'll hear too if they win? Afterwards, we'll hear, we knew we really needed this game. Like, it won't be, well, we've done it before. It'll be, whew, man, we really needed a win.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a far way to go. It's a legit team, and they're interesting because they can stop the run. And if you can shut down Christian McCaffrey, you got a chance. They're going to play a lot of zone coverage. Brock Purdy should be able to tear it up. Let's see what you got, man. You got all your weapons. I could totally understand someone picking the Niners to win this game if they really believe in Brock.
Bird Creature says, hypothetical question. Niners hold the Jags under 17 points. What one thing did the Niners improve to make that happen? To me, it's the run defense. Yeah. It's stopping the run. Teams were perforating this defense, gaining 4 or 5 yards with their runs, so that 2nd and 3rd down were always short yardage, and the Niners defense was always up against it. That's not how this defense is built. They're built to rush the passer in long down situations, and they haven't been in those the last 3 weeks.
All right, allow me to retort in a respectful way. Okay, yes, but I don't think that Jacksonville is that great at running the ball. I mean, Trevor Lawrence can scramble, and the Niners have problems with quarterback. They couldn't contain Joe Burrow. But Travis Etienne, I think he's a better receiver than running back. I think he's averaging 3.9 yards per carry this season. So it doesn't mean he won't go off. Running backs tend to go off against the Niners. But I could see a world where the Niners hold their own against Travis Etienne and make the Jacks somewhat one-dimensional and still struggle. Because the way the Niners have been playing coverage, so soft, so much zone. Like Trevor Lawrence, if Joe Burrow can dice that up, so can Trevor Lawrence.
That's fair.
If they play this soft zone coverage, I could see Trevor Lawrence having a dominant game the way Kirk Cousins and Joe Burrow did the last 2 weeks. I think the Niners need to play man coverage, but I don't know if Steve Wilks feels comfortable with that. Just seems like with Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk, be better off trying to man up than just letting Trevor Lawrence dice you up, knowing where the holes are in the zone. I don't know. That's a big one.
Robert Marquez says, why don't you guys bet your house on Jacksonville? You'll get 3 points. Gonna bet the house?
No. I'll just bet my reputation. That's more fun.
I'm trying to think of the biggest bet. I don't think I've ever made a $100 bet on a game before in my life. I think the biggest bet I've ever made is like $20.
Yeah. I don't like losing. Maybe that's the Jew in me. Sorry. It just feels like I don't. I'm sorry. I can say that. I'm Jewish.
I think let's wrap it up from here, frankly. That's going to do it for this edition of Stats at Cohn and the Gold Standard Podcast Network and the Grant Cohn YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe to both channels if you would. Niners need a big one. Obviously, this is going to be huge. You'll be doing your post-game instant reaction show. I'll be doing mine. We're going to have plenty to talk about after this game. Hopefully the Niners can get back on track. Also, rate, review, and follow the Gold Standard Podcast Network wherever you get your audio pods. Grant, have a great rest of your week. I can't wait for you to ask Kyle about the 2-minute drill.
I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of hoping the Niners win this game. I don't normally root for the Niners, but look, if they lose to Jacksonville, it's going to be very dramatic. And I'll have a lot to say in the post. We'll all have a lot to say in the post-game press conference. But I don't want this season to fall apart in November. And it's on the verge. It's teetering. Like, get it together. All right. I'm prepared to talk about this team through January. Don't let me down.
Right.
Win the freaking game, guys. I'm going to pick against you. I'm going to give you all the motivation you freaking need. You're not good enough. Jacksonville's better than you. You're not going to win. You're a bunch of chokers. Prove me wrong, please. What more can I do?
What you really want is you want 2 more wins going into that Seattle 3-game stretch. Like, give me the Niners at 7-3 going into that stretch.
I thought we were going to get home playoff games. I was like, let's go. Now I'm thinking, are they going to make the playoffs? You better not do that to me. To me. Okay?
Right. Think of Grant Cohn.
Think of me.
That's motivation you need. Just think of Grant. Do it for Grant Cohn.
That's quality control right there, baby. Thank you.
Hey, that's what you're here for. All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your Wednesday. We'll talk to you soon.